Right, today, this one hits close to home. This is my number one struggle with video and honestly my professional life in general. This is imposter syndrome, right? I think there's probably a handful of different ways to define imposter syndrome, and I think there's a few different ways it manifests itself. But ultimately, you feel like you have no business doing what you're doing. Now, some people like myself feel like you have no business doing what you're doing, and everybody freaking knows you have no business doing what you're doing, and you're just, putting on a show or something. Some people feel imposter syndrome as they have everyone fooled, and they better not slip up, because if people found out, oh my goodness, the world come crumbling down. If people found out that you really are a fraud. For some people like me, just feel like everyone knows it, and it's on public display that I'm way in over my head. But one way or another, it's that feeling that you have no business doing what you're doing, you're way in over your head, you're not qualified. The most common self-talk that comes up in your mind if you're feeling imposter syndrome is, who do you think you are? At least for me, that's it. Like every single time I do anything slightly out of my narrow lane of what my defined job is, and what my defined role in life is, I start feeling that, who do you think you are? So, some specific things you can do to work through this, or at least what's worked for me, is you need to take some time and really write down what that negative self-talk sounds like for you. So for me, the number one thing is, who do you think you are, right? There's more on that list, but that's it. And sometimes I'm asking myself, who do you think you are? And a lot of times my self-talk is, I'm afraid that when people see what I'm doing, particularly my colleagues, when my colleagues see what I'm doing, they're gonna be asking themselves, who does John Mahan think he is? Why is he doing this stuff? Who does he think he is? That's my number one negative self-talk. So write that down. A lot of times just recognizing that self-talk pattern for what it is, especially if you can identify where it came from, right? If you can look at yourself, your personality, your past, your history, your parents, whatever, if you can find out where that self-talk came from, sometimes understanding it robs it of its power, right? When you can name and identify something and say, oh, I know what this is and I know why it's here, sometimes it robs it of its legitimacy and its power and doesn't have as strong a hold on you. So write out those negative pieces of self-talks and recognize them, spot them, right? As you're going through your day and you feel that, you can call it out and say, ooh, yep, I see that. I know what's going on right there. That's on my list, right? That's item number 4. And then for any that you can, I would just say, what the heck, we'll say all of them, write down alternative self-talk you can engage in when you start to feel that way. So for example, when I start to feel like my colleagues are looking at me saying, who the hell does John Mahan think he is? Why is he thinks he's some kind of big shot? Right? Making a YouTube channel, good God. Like, as I'm recording this video, I still really haven't launched and made this Hungary project public yet. And I feel this every single day. This weight of like, who do I think I am making my own YouTube channel? Who the hell cares what I have to say? Why don't I just stay in my lane and do my thing like I'm expected to? Why do I have to go and do this crazy crap? So that's what I'm feeling on a daily basis. So what you want to do is create alternative self-talk that you can engage in when you start feeling that way. So for me, this alternative self-talk is people really don't care that much. Okay, they have their own lives, their own worries, their own concern, their own reputation, their own ego. They got all their own stuff to worry about. I don't think a lot of people have a lot of bandwidth to start thinking about what John Mahan's doing and why he's doing it and any of that stuff. Like, really, I'm not that big a deal. People really don't care. They got their own lives to worry about, not worry about what I'm doing on YouTube. The second bit of self-talk I engage in is that there might be some people who actually see this and admire it, right? Whether they admire the quality of the content I create, or maybe if my content's crap, they'll at least admire that I'm taking that step and being bold and trying to do something different. Because a lot of people have felt that urge to do something like that on their own and just kind of felt too small to move forward with it, right? When they see me doing it, part of them is going to say, oh, good for John, good for him trying something new, even if it sucks. At least he's trying it. And I guess kind of along with that, my third bit of self-talk is there may actually be people out there who have gotten this close to doing something like this before and really wanted to, but just not quite been able to get over that hump because they feel the exact things I'm feeling. And by me leading the way and being the first one to do that and showing them that it can be done, maybe I'll inspire them to take that step on their own. And maybe through me going through this discomfort, this awkwardness, this shame, this embarrassment, maybe I can actually help someone else work through that better. Not to mention, I mean, it works for me because the topic of this channel is all about that too. So I can guarantee you there'll be someone watching these videos who I can help. But that doesn't necessarily help up front, because now I'm worried about my colleagues. So I think about someone in my workplace who maybe seeing me inspires them. So that's my alternative self-talk. So for me, as I go through the day, I start feeling those talk tracks coming up. I recognize what they are. Just by recognizing them and naming them, I rob them of some of their power, and then I actively choose to start running those new talk tracks through my mind instead, about no one actually cares about what you're doing, and they'll find it inspiring, and maybe it'll inspire them to do something better. So that's an action step. Write that list out. Now, some self-talk to engage in. You have to realize everyone feels this way, okay? Like, I cannot tell you the number of people who are like amazing influencers and successful, and they have everything we all want in life, and they're just killing it, and they either felt that way when they got started, or some of them still feel that way now, even though they still, even though they're authors and speakers and all this stuff. Like, that imposter syndrome is a very, very common experience and has nothing to do with how successful you are and how capable you are. So, which transitions, I guess, into the next piece of self-talk that I always remind myself of. The fact that you're feeling the way you're feeling is not a sign that you're on the wrong track, or that you're doing something you shouldn't be doing, or that anything of that, right? It is completely natural to feel this way, whether you're on the right track or the wrong track. In fact, I even think, I'm not totally convinced of this yet, I don't have enough experience in this space, but for me personally, when I start feeling that way, start feeling that imposter syndrome, and start feeling who do you think you are, that's generally when I'm onto something good. When I'm actually about to do something meaningful and impactful with my life and with my work that I'm going to find meaningful and rewarding, and that really is going to make a darn bit of difference in this world or in my life or in someone else's life. Because when I'm just following the rules, staying in my lane, doing my thing, I don't feel that imposter syndrome. But I'm also stagnating and plateauing and really doing nothing with my life that I can be proud of, or that is going to make a real impact. I'm just going through the motions. So for me, when I start feeling who do you think you are, that generally tells me I'm on the right track. And I still got to check to make sure I'm not like doing something completely ridiculous. But usually, at least in the last like 12 or 18 months that I've been really pushing the limits on my own professional life, when I start feeling that way, that tells me I'm on the right track. So hopefully that helped. This is a big one for me. Please comment below your thoughts, your experiences, how you've experienced this. You can message me too. I know when I was creating this YouTube channel, I put my email address in there somewhere, so I bet you can find it if you look for it. You can shoot me an email and we can communicate that way as well. But this is a huge thing for me, and I would love to help you with it, and I would love to get your insights so that maybe I can make another video someday and help someone else based on the insights and the feedback I've gotten from this video.